Hello again. I want to talk about something very serious with you tonight. And that thing is our rights as Americans, our rights as people, and how we got those rights. We didn't get those rights by needlessly sending people to their death. We didn't get these rights by spending billions and billions of dollars and wasting the lives of humanity. People died, but we got those rights because men who admittedly were slave owners, and eventually some saw the evil ways of slavery and stopped it and abolished it. But men who saw fit to stand up against tyranny and against leaders who were not leading the people in the right direction. So I'm going to go back to the roots, the very core of what makes this country what it is and was at that beginning time. And let me read this to you. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive at these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Now, that is the first paragraph after the preamble of the Declaration of Independence, if you didn't recognize it. In that paragraph, it states that we as Americans have the right to revolution, that we have the right to change our government, and that we do not have to take what we are given by any government, including the one we as Americans set up to begin with. At this moment in time, I find it very disheartening that our leaders, and I'm talking about all of them on both sides of the same coin, are failing drastically in maintaining the rights of the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. I propose to you that we at this time are in what I call the Great Depression of the 21st century. And I'm not talking about an economic depression. I'm talking about an emotional depression. A depression that is being brought on by the failure of our leaders to help us in our times of need. The failure of our leaders to justly assist those who were distraught over Katrina. Those who've lost their homes to countless tornadoes, those who have lost their homes to countless fires and floods. Our government is failing drastically in maintaining the infrastructure of our country so that bridges are collapsing and water mains are failing, and the society that we once called great is rapidly falling apart, while these so-called leaders, these so-called great people of our government that we so foolishly have given so much to in order to be governed by them, by our consent, are failing drastically in maintaining the needs of the people. We live in a corporate state. America is no longer a democracy. It never was. It was a republic to begin with, and it still is a republic. I have said this before. But the bottom line is this: America is falling apart. Americans are no longer in control of their lives. We are subject to the corporations. In my very own on my very own property, my right of way that is on my land is constantly being used by the gas and oil companies and their trucks to get to the wells back behind my house here on other people's properties. They drill wherever they want. They drive up and down my roads at any time of the day, and all week long. I have no privacy whatsoever. I can be out in my yard and boom, there's a truck and it's driving down. They have usurped all the rights of property owners in this great state of that I live in. It's like that everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Corporations are abusing their right to exist in among us. The rights of the individual no longer exist. The rights of the majority no longer exist. We are subject to the law, and the law is in the favor of corporations. When a company like ExxonMobil can have a record quarter, and on the other hand, over here, a company like GM is falling to its knees. What does that say? Well, what it says to me is that a company like GM exists solely because of the blue-collar worker. Without the grunt, without that certain individual, they are nothing, because that's who is part of that whole process. So what that means is the government doesn't care about the blue-collar worker. The government doesn't care about the worker at all. The government doesn't care about the very salt of this earth, the backbone of this country that makes it what it is, makes it great, the backbone of this country. When the soldiers come back from putting their lives on the line for their country, they are given the worst treatment in the medical facilities, the most horrendous conditions. And yes, most people will say, "Oh, it's okay. Oh, I love my country. I love my president." Fuck that. I say fuck that. I say fuck the president. Fuck the goddamn government. They treat people like shit, and they are out there in their frickin' Cadillacs, drinking martinis, fucking their whores, and who's paying the bill? I'm angry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And you should be mad as hell, and you shouldn't be taking it anymore. We don't have to deal with it. We don't have to put up with it. We have the right to revolution. We have the right to dismantle and take this government down. It is our God-given right to be governed in a just manner that allows us the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. We should not be losing our homes. We should not be losing our jobs because we can't afford to drive to work. We should not be suffering while these people who we call our leaders play. They play on the air of the television, on the air of the radio. They play, and their mouthpieces are out there playing on our suffering. The American public, the common human, is suffering because of these people. Wake up, and look at the facts. The right to revolution is yours.
I'm the dictator. If this were a dictatorship, it'd be a heck of a lot easier. I'm the dictator. I'm the dictator. I'm the dictator. If this were a dictatorship, it'd be a heck of a lot easier. I'm the dictator. 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 If this were a dictatorship, it'd be a heck of a lot easier.